Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
With the endurance round out of the way, we arrive at another circuit associated with the name Le Mans. The Petit Le Mans has become a staple of North American endurance racing here at Road Atlanta. With this being a home circuit for our drivers, who will take the honors tonight? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta iRacing Winter League. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Seeing a resurgence in the 90s, Road Atlanta has become a premier road racing facility. Let's learn more with our track guide. Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track. Well, DJ, with this being a place where these guys race in real life, I have to imagine a win here is going to be a point of personal pride for them.
Yeah, it most certainly is going to be, but it's not going to be without its fair share of difficulties around here, Joe. This first sector in particular, very difficult to make sure these GT3 cars are up and underneath them. A fast flick through turn 1 and then through the blind crest of turns 2 and 3, down through the S's and then the ever-treacherous turn 5. Look for the main overtaking opportunity, though, to be at the end of the back straightaway going down into turns 10A and 10B. That's going to be your main point to be able to do it. but it is going to maybe see a chance or two down into turn 1 as well. For the most part, though, going down into 6 and 7 and down through the S's, that is going to be a one-way street.
It absolutely is. Now, the championship, of course, is going to be coming down to it here with us into round 4 and towards the latter end of this short season. And we've got David Madden currently sitting on the top spot with Baysnare getting slotted down into second after last round. But it's very tight between himself and Philip Crane. And then look at this. It is a tie for 4th place between 3 different drivers, Gummer, Wilmot, and Owens. And Gummer actually took the win last time out in France. So he has definitely done himself well. Let's see if he can do even better here today and try to catch up to David Madden enough that he could maybe take the final one at the next round. But there you go. With one more to go after this one, it's going to be important to get a good one on the books. And speaking of on the books, DJ, we have our race details for today.
Yes, we do, Joe. It is race 4 of 5 here. We are in for about 20-minute sprint race and then a 30-lap feature race around here. Open setup, which means these drivers are going to be able to tweak and tune their cars to whatever is going to suit their characteristics. And that's going to be especially crucial to see who is able to take the most downforce out of the car and get the best straight line speed going down the back straightaway. Also, there is an 80 incident limit point, but I don't see anybody running afoul of that, as that's a pretty high mark.
Yeah, thankfully it should be okay on that front. Now, before we get to the racing, we want to remind you that the driving club at Road Atlanta iRacing Winter League is powered by DiscoveryParts. DiscoveryParts bring a full range of safety gear for DCRA members to all of our Road Atlanta events. By bringing a wide selection, they make sure that our drivers get the perfect gear the first time, every time. DCRA members have helped DiscoveryParts become the #1 Stilo Helmet dealer in the USA for the past 5 years. Stilo helmets offer an incredibly light and strong helmet that can be customized for every driver. For all your on-track needs, go to DiscoveryParts.com, and active DCRA members receive special pricing and benefits. We are in the midst of the qualifying, and we've got a little less than 10 minutes to go here. With Gummer still on the provisional pole, has looked pretty quick in this session. There he is with another lap down, in fact, improving yet again by quite a few tenths, and is now 3/4 of a second ahead of Dave Madden.
Yeah, that's a very, very impressive feat here with that 1:19.409. Madden's going to have to get himself back out on track and try to push his way around a little bit. John Bestener right now trying to work his way around in the Mercedes. Ooh, a little bit squirrely there coming off of turn 5. He's going to catch a little bit of the grass as well, and that's going to be a big, big area to watch out for coming out of turn 5. If you step over the limit there, even just a little bit, Joe, that can come back to bite you.
Indeed, and John probably not on a quick lap because of that at this stage, but he's carrying on. He actually, he might be on his last lap, so this might be it, because they only get 10 laps out here in their qualifying session, even though they are given 25 minutes. They can't sit around for forever, or can't keep actually putting laps in forever. Rather, they only have a limited number, and since this is number 10, that's basically it for the number 4. And he's going to be done from here. So as we watch him fly down through the last corner, we already pretty much know that this is a dud for him. So that's it. 4th at best for the number 4 car. As we go back to Campbell now, Cameron has yet to set a time, and he's not going to do it on this lap, as that is certainly an off track. But the good news for him is he's still got about 7 more tries.
Yeah, he'll have plenty of more tries here. One of the only drivers in the field right now that looks like he's favoring the Porsche. A bit of a difficult car to get a grips with, but once you sort of lock in on how to make it run, it is a very, very quick car. We jump back on board here with Seth Thomas, the only driver in a BMW out on the track. Front engine, rear wheel drive. Has a decent amount of understeer in that car, but that's helpful actually because you know how the car is going to be turning, how it's going to be handling everything. And so let's see what Seth is able to do here. Gonna cross over the line right now. Doesn't look like that one counted there for Seth Thomas.
Yeah, must have also had an off track or something around there. Lin Tran is going to be the next one to cross in the number 2. I think he might be on an out lap right now himself, and he's only got 2 more laps left to count here. So as he brings it across the line, this might be the start of his flyer, and indeed that is the case. So now this is his last attempt this time through as he chucks it into turn 1.
Yeah, good line there. He could have taken a little bit more speed on corner exit. You can let that car drift out there a little bit more if you want it to, but I think here for Tran, just trying to keep this all together and really focusing here on consistent laps rather than the absolute knock them down fastest as possible. Although here as we come over, going to be crossing over the sector line to see what they are able to get. I'm not seeing any quick sector times here from him. That's going to be a little bit unfortunate, but still plenty of time to make up a little bit more here on the back half of this circuit.
Behind him, he does have Base Stinner out there, but again, he is done with his qualifying. These remaining laps for him will not count, although he is allowed to stay out there. And as they come along down the backstretch, if anything, I think Lin would like this reverse because he could certainly use that slipstream to try and gain a little bit of time. I'm seeing him very close to his best, but like you said, it's going to be marginal whether or not he can improve as they break into the chicane. All he has to do is get it off the corner nice and smooth and then swing it through the final turn past the start-finish line. Let's see if this is going to do it for him. That looked like a good final sector to me. And yes, a 22.8 is going to be an improvement, and up to 7th he goes.
A nice run there for Lin Tran. Going to be very, very happy with that. Here's Cameron Campbell. Still some more time to go right now. The best time for that driver of the Porsche looks to be a 1:23.04. He's going to be pushing here to try to get a little bit more. That could have been a hair too much curb coming off of turn 7, but he'll be able to keep everything underneath him here as now he powers his way down the backstretch. And good news here for Campbell. I'm seeing green sector times. That's personal bests.
Yeah, this is a good sign. He's got a 23 flat currently, and he's about 8/10 ahead of Seth Thomas, another driver that's still out there trying to find a little bit of improvement as he takes it nicely through the apexes of the chicane. It's looking like he might improve by 2 seconds here. This is going to be a massive jump for Campbell if this is showing accurately. 21.3 he does. Oh, but it's only up to 7th in the end.
So close there for Campbell, and I do believe, I look here, I'm not sure how many laps he's been able to put in. That's a weird glitch on my timing and scoring screen that I can't exactly tell. But we watch here Seth Thomas as he works his way around. Only 5 laps down, so he's still got time to be able to put a few down here.
And Campbell himself is only put in 5 laps as well. So both of them have time and laps left, but unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get all 10. And it does look like it's kind of a challenge between them to stay off of the latter end of the field, as now we see Thomas also go through the last real true braking zone of the lap and come to the line. It's looking like a lot of improvement from him as well. Let's see. He crosses. Oh, unfortunately, he had an off track somewhere as that one gets deleted.
He's still got about 2 minutes and 50 seconds here to be able to get on the clock, so that should be just enough time to get 2 laps down as we take a look on board with Thomas, trying to see what he's able to do. Good line there coming up through turn 2. That'll keep everything together as they push their way along right now. He's going to come down through the S's. Let's see how he handles turn 5.
Bad news for fans of Campbell. He had a bit of a problem coming around turn 7, so this lap is not going to count for him. He's got just enough left to do 1 more, but unfortunately, they are not going to be allowed to complete hot laps. So once he comes around for this next one, that will be it. Thomas is also pretty much in the same situation. Might be able to get 1 more after this one if he hustles around, because they're running 120s or thereabouts. And with about 35 seconds until then, that should be enough for him to complete the lap here. Down into the braking. Does he hit his markers? He's certainly going to be pushing, I would think, to try and get that little bit more, especially since he has at least 1 on the board. Now it's all about maximizing everything he can. Out to the line, 23.8. Is it going to stay there as he crosses? No, a 20.4. Up to 5th place for the 81 car.
mega lap there for Seth Thomas in that USPS liveried BMW. He's going to now bring the car out and around. He should have just enough time here, Joe, to be able to finish a second lap if he so chooses. Let's keep an eye because we know there's plenty of speed to be found underneath the hood of that number 81.
Yeah, clearly he's gotten the hang of it now in this session, as sometimes drivers just need that little bit to really kind of get everything nailed down. Unfortunately, Campbell once again had a bit of an oops through turn 7. This time didn't spin the car, but was very wide through that turn. So I'm not seeing very good times out of the number 14 and not expecting him to improve on this final flying lap. He'll cross just now, and nope, that's going to be well off pace for him. So that's it for Campbell. His qualifying is over. Thomas is the last one we'll see able to set a time. And he plunges down into the chicane here, DJ. Can he make even more?
Well, let's look here. I'm seeing green sectors through Sector 1 and Sector 2. This very well could be another good time for the Georgian driver. Going to bring the car now down through turn 12. Let's see as he comes to the line, a 22.259. That's all the way up to third.
Wow, he came good at the end of that session in a big way. Fantastic stuff from Seth Thomas to put himself in contention. And with our qualifying done, let's go through our starting order. Jamiel Gummer will start on the pole with Dave Madden to his outside. Seth Thomas will be in P3 as Jason Owens will start from 4th. John Baystender will be in the 5th position. Then you've got Philip Crane in 6th and Daniel Vincent in 7th. Cameron Campbell struggling a little bit with that qualifying, only managed 8th. Lynn Tran, same deal, putting himself in 9th. And I know it says Drivers Club of Georgia, but we do not have Cal Dennis here today racing, so that's going to be a DNS for that car as we line up behind the pace car, getting ready to go for round 4 here, DJ. With the way this track bites, I have to imagine today, both in the sprint and the feature, is going to be a little bit more about just keeping it together.
Yeah, I really think that's going to be the way to do it around here. You've just got to make sure you keep all 4 tires on the black stuff. Don't be too aggressive coming this way and that, and just wait for time to play out in front of you. And I think that's going to be a great way to go.
You can see it's quite warm on the track, though. 103 Fahrenheit on the surface. And a little bit of wind, nothing too dramatic, although it does seem to be changing speed fairly frequently there. But again, if you didn't watch the last round that we covered at Le Mans, remember we get 2 races. This time, though, slightly different since it is a bit shorter. But we have this 20-minute sprint, and then it will be off to the 30-minute feature for today's pair of races. And as they climb up the hill next time through there, it's going to be a lot more intense using that compression.
That really and truly is. It's not going to be easy there as they come up and over the hill. But here they come. Got to keep their eyes a little bit together. Make sure they're doing okay here. As you said, 103 degrees Fahrenheit on track temperature right now. That's going to be a little bit of a concern for these drivers. Probably not going to do all that much weaving back and forth, as it's going to be plenty of running here for them.
Yeah, it's going to heat those tires up pretty quickly, I got to think. And these 9 drivers going to have their hands full. This is a very tough track, even if they do have plenty of real-world experience out here. Not all of them necessarily have experience in these GT3 cars, which are, though they are a good everyman's car because they have so many tools at their disposal. If you don't have the experience to rely on, it could take some adapting, I would think, DJ.
Yeah, very much so. You've got to be used to being able to drive around here. As you said, there are plenty of areas where you can get caught off guard. The run down through the S's, coming up through 2 and 3, going through 5. It's so very difficult to make sure to keep everything together. And so these drivers, they may know this track well, but they're going to have their handful.
Good example, honestly, is up at the front row. Madden usually runs a spec Miata, which is very different from a GT3 car, but he seems to be doing quite well and has put himself onto the front row. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't get nearly as close as he would have liked to Jamiel Gummer. It was more than half a second apart between them. So he's going to have to hope that Gummer might have a few issues here unless he suddenly finds quite a bit of pace compared to that Castrol liveried Lamborghini there on the pole. Pace car is in. And green flag is out. Jamil is on the loud pedal, but behind him, it's a challenge already for second place. Seth Thomas is using his momentum well. In fact, might be another position down as Jason Owens takes a peek, but looks like that one's not going to stick. He'll back out of it.
He's going to back out of it here at this point, but good news, everybody up through the corners, a little bit more side by side. Campbell trying to take a move down to the inside there of the Ferrari of Daniel Vincent. He's going to get that position to go, and we're off to the races.
I'm glad to see that the real-world experience is coming in for those first couple corners. You often see trouble here with drivers who get a little ambitious through that narrow 1, 2, 3 complex. And in fact, out of turn 5, everybody safely out of there as well.
Everybody through nice and cleanly, and now here's the point of the track where we're going to see this draft start to come into play here, Joe. This is the long back straightaway. You've got to nail the exit out of turn 7. It looks like the drivers that have been able to do this the best is right now Philip Crane's got a great run on the back of Jason Owens, as well as Madden here on the back of Seth Thomas.
Gonna poke his nose out, looking for the pass for P2. Madden once back in there, and he goes aggressive here right at the beginning, sends it in deep down to the chicane. Smooth move from the number 7. Thomas has to recover and gets back onto the racing line. By the way, just an update, Cal Dennis has made it out onto the track, so we do have 10 cars starting this race.
We do indeed. Good to see Cal being able to get out there, and he will certainly be able to grid up for that feature race that we have coming up here in just a little bit amount of time. But right now, front of the field, Gummer absolutely starting to run away, and crucially here, Joe, that was a big off in the back for Seth Thomas.
Oh no, and he's hit the wall. It looks like he is gonna, he's gonna have to take a tow. He hit that one pretty hard. They do have a spare car, but with him taking that tow, it's gonna be a bit of a wait that early in the lap. We had another off just off screen over the hill there. Jason Owens managed to catch it without sending it into the wall of turn 5. But let's take a look at the replay on Seth and see what exactly happened.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened to him here, Joe. I just saw that BMW sort of spear off. It looks like he hooked the curb there with the left-hand side tires, and that was enough to send him around.
Oof, pretty hard hit there on that second phase of it. And Daniel Vincent, something happened to him. It was Jason Owens that went off. Here we go. There's Jason Owens in the Lambo. This is down through the S's. This will be just out of turn 5. That honestly does a really good job. Oh, it's on the way in. That's interesting.
Well, if you look there, he was a little bit too aggressive with the curbing coming down into the compression area of the S's, and I think that was enough to just send that car around a little bit. Good job for him to keep it gathered up and to not have it be a bigger spin there. That could have been absolutely race-ending.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually you don't want incidents through turn 5 because they tend to be pretty disastrous with the speeds that you take into that corner. And in the meantime, Owens is having a bit of frustration behind Daniel Vincent, who's certainly not pulling over and letting him by. And Jason hasn't quite found the opening he needs yet.
Well, he's trying to poke his nose a little bit this way and that coming up through the S's. That is not going to be the best way to go. But now he's going to take a run here coming out of turn 5. It's not every day you see a pass here coming down into 6, but there he's going to get it done.
Nice job, and now Lynn Tran arrives at the rear bumper of Daniel Vincent. Well, we have another change of position here. Ooh, bad exit for the Mercedes coming out of turn 7 just when you need the speed.
Yeah, and that's not where you want to have that run. You need to get the best blast off of the corner that you possibly can, and that's going to put Tran a little bit far behind here at this point. Vincent's going to try to close in a little bit more. Farther up in the field here is John closing in behind Philip Crane right now. That gap hovering just under a full second.
Interesting to report that I thought Madden would have trouble trying to keep up with Gummer, but he's actually ran faster than him the last 2 laps, I believe, and has cut it down to about 1 second, as there you can see Seth is getting back out onto the circuit after taking his spare car, but we might actually have a race on our hands for the win here today.
We might have a race on our hands indeed. This is going to be pretty fantastic to be able to see as we ride on board here with that green Ferrari piloted by David Madden, I should say. Gap coming down to about 1.1, 1.2 seconds. It looked like there the Gummer was off the apex a little bit coming through 7, and the gap's now going to be down under 0.8 of a second. It's draft time.
Looking a little mistake-prone here is Gummer, but we kind of saw that at Le Mans as well. Had a few oopses out there, and he had to fight his way back to the lead in the end. But Madden, who is now within about 0.4 of a second, could he try and attack this lap? This is looking good down into the chicane. If he gets a good enough launch, he could try something into turn 1, but I'm not seeing it at this stage.
No, he's a little bit too far back at this point. Really, you need to be right up behind that rear wing of the car in front of you if you realistically want to have a shot down into 1. Although Madden does set the fastest lap of the race last time out with a 19.340. Clearly helped there by that draft. He's going to lose a little bit of time courtesy of the aero wash here coming through the S's, but he should be able to gain that right back up on the backstretch.
Wonder if that gap we saw in qualifying wasn't quite accurate, because I looked at the qualifying laps for Madden. His last 5 all got deleted, so maybe there was more in the tank, and he's kind of showing it now that, listen, you may have had the psychological win in qualifying, but you don't have it in the race.
Yeah, that could very well be the case. Let's see if he's able to challenge here. And don't forget, we've got a second race, another 14-lap feature here, as we're already pretty much over halfway done with this one.
Yeah, it's going by quickly. And coming down the back stretch here, looking for the braking into the chicane. That was much better for Gummer that time. He pulls a couple tenths farther away from the number 7. So no chance this time around. But again, the brakes look mighty good in that Ferrari. Just seems to really close it down every time they come into a heavy braking zone.
Yeah, David looks like he's just got that car up underneath him, and he's got complete and total confidence on the brakes, really able to apply perfect threshold braking and not engaging that ABS in this Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. So doing a really good job to be able to keep that gap pretty close right now, trying to see what he's able to do here. Again, he may lose a little bit coming through the S's, courtesy of the aero wash. Let's see if he's able to get a better run here coming up out of 5.
He's at least keeping him honest. Oh, and there's another mistake. Will he hit the wall? Gummer goes off, just dinks into the side as he clips the tire barrier. He has to wait for an opening. Oh, and unfortunately, whew, that was very close there with Bastinner. Just about hit him and barely finds his way back on track as well before he gets hit by Campbell.
Now let's take a look at the replay here, Joe. I think this is a classic pressure-induced incident coming up through turn 5. Comes up, just gets a little bit squirrely, catches that grass on the outside, and that's enough to send that Lamborghini spinning.
I think he got away without too much damage on the nose. Here is from Campbell's view. So we're going to see him come upon... Oh, he also had a problem. Big off coming into turn 5. Does he catch it? He does indeed. Wow. And then, well, it's honestly good that he was as slow as he was there coming off that corner, because then he could avoid that Lamborghini.
Yeah, he could indeed. And now we've got a little bit of a battle on our hands with Owens right now, who we ride on board with, trying to keep up behind Gummer. I've got to think Gummer's going to scamper off into the distance here in the final 2 laps of this race, but you never know. The draft can be very powerful here at Road Atlanta.
That was a really bad time for him to have that incident. No chance to try and gather back up the leaders. He sits in 5th with a 1.5 seconds to catch up to Campbell. That's going to be a difficult ask here in the last 2 laps of this race. As they fly through the S's, does look like he's doing decently to stay ahead of Owens. And I might actually eat my words. Oh, another mistake from Gummer once again. And instead, he's going to lose a position as we ride on the nose of Owens. He gets down to the inside, Lambo versus Lambo, and just feeds out ahead of him between 6 and 7.
Yeah, but the one problem here is it looks like there the Gummer was able to get just as good of a run off of turn 7, and he's now going to challenge the number 3 on the back straightaway. They'll be side by side. It does look like Owens is going to maybe get a little bit of the draft here from Campbell up in front of him. Now that's going to shift over to favoring Gummer. They're still going to be side by side coming down into the braking zone for turn 10.
This is going to be white flag lap when they come across the line. Good job by Gummer to get ahead of Owens, but it's not done. He's sticking right with him. And, oh, yeah, you can see a fair bit of damage on the nose of that car, actually. That's going to hurt his straight line speed, no doubt. One more to decide the 5th place.
All right, and a little bit of a defensive move there from Gummer as they came over the start-finish line. He clearly knew that Owens wanted to get that attack if he could, and he blocked off any chance of it. So that's a good heads-up play there from the number 3, or for the number 5 right now. Ooh, but he's slow coming down through the S's.
This is not when he wants to be vulnerable here. Oh, and he has another mistake. This is close to what he did last time. He catches it, so he doesn't hit the wall, but there goes Owens to scamper off with that top 5. Madden, in the meantime, is looking for his marker down into the final chicane. A handy 5-second lead leaves him quite a bit of comfort to leave some margin for error here. Doesn't need to hustle the car. And, well, he may not have taken the pole. He didn't need it here today. He kept it clean, kept the pace up, and was able to pressurize his rival into a mistake. Madden is going to win the sprint race here today at Road Atlanta.
A great job there for David Madden, keeping it calm, cool, and collected. Philip Crane, one of your big movers up through the field, up 4 positions, going to come home P2. And then Cameron Campbell in that number 14 Porsche, up 5 on the day. He's going to round out your podium.
Great run by Campbell. Again, seemed to struggle a little bit in that qualifying session, but really made up for it in the race itself. We're going to see 8 drivers finish on the lead lap. Cal Dennis unable to, and then Seth Thomas, unfortunately, with his problem early on in the race, has to settle for the 9th spot. And there you can see Vincent coming across the line. And did Bastinner not finish that last lap? I don't think he did. So maybe we're only going to see 7 drivers finish that first one. So here is your race results for the sprint. And Dave Madden took the win. Philip Crane finished P2. And Cameron Campbell was on the podium as well. Jason Owens, P4, was then followed by Jamie O'Cummer in 5th. And Lynn Tran in P6. Daniel Vincent finished 7th today. Basner, I can confirm, did not complete the last lap. He was a lap down in 8th, but he was ahead of Seth Thomas, who finished 9th. And then Cal Dennis had to accept 10th today, although he was put on the back foot with a late start there from pit lane. And we'll have just a little bit of a warm-up session, then we'll head off to the feature for this one. And DJ, that was actually a pretty good race out there. Might have only been 10 cars, but we had some great battles.
Yeah, we had some very, very good battles up and down through the field. Very impressed with these drivers here today. They certainly kept everything together. And it's making me excited for this 14-lap feature event that we're going to be coming up on here in just a few minutes' time.
Yep, we'll be back to show that in just a moment. Stick around. We've got more to come with our feature race here and the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter Series.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We get ready for the feature race. 30 minutes here, and they will grid up according to the order that you just saw for the sprint race. So for Dave Madden, he's going to be feeling pretty good considering he'll start from the front. For Jamie Montgomery, who seemed to be pretty quick, but unfortunately could not keep it from having a few offs during the race. It's going to be tough starting from down in P5. But as we saw, DJ, Cameron Campbell showed you don't necessarily need the track position on this one.
No, you certainly don't, and Campbell was assisted a little bit by a couple of the offs from the drivers that we saw in front, but at the same time, if you're able to keep your head while all others around you are not, you're going to find yourself moving up through the order, and I think that's a real testament. Is there we see a nice little bit of a spin around there for Daniel Vincent. If you're able to avoid that, you're just going to find yourself gaining position after position.
Vincent having a little trouble getting that car back pointed forward, and well, he's going to try and pull out right in front of Seth, and thankfully they're not going to run into one another. It's just practice, so it won't be the worst thing in the world. I'm sure Seth didn't necessarily appreciate him coming across the track right as he was flying through there. One more minute, and then they will begin to get to the grid for the feature here today. So based on what we saw from that first one, DJ, what would your main advice be for our drivers?
Keep it clean, keep it calm, keep it relaxed. I think a lot of times that we saw the offs, particularly from Jamel Gummer, a lot of those were because of pressure coming from behind. Just keep it together. Don't try to run the fastest lap every time around. Instead, just try to keep it cool and collected, and that's going to be your way to get a good run.
All right, we now grid up for the main race here. And there you can see the grid unchanged from before, as Madden will start from pole. And those are all 10 drivers that we will have here today. So no need to scroll through a whole bunch of them. But they get ready behind the pace car, looking forward to the green flag. And the drivers will, again, get a pace lap to try and get this together. The good news is, though, DJ, is that the track temperature has been going down since it's now all the way to about 5 p.m. virtual standard time.
Yeah, it's about 97 degrees Fahrenheit, and 6 degrees of change at that temperature may not seem like a whole lot, but believe me, it is. It's still going to be within a good range that these tires aren't going to have to be worked up to temperature too much, but at the same time, that's going to be just a little bit of a help as we go along in this longer 14-lap race that drivers aren't going to have to worry nearly as much about tire wear.
Somebody's a little bit eager here. That's Philip Crane trying to get going from that second position. And now Madden is going to follow him out. And as they come around up into turn one, now they've at least gone through there at full speed and know what to expect in race conditions, especially on lap one. That really impressed me, I have to say, DJ. I've seen top-level drivers race here before and still manage to completely botch with horrible wrecks through those first few corners, and these guys made it look like they're better than the pros.
Yeah, they certainly did. They had a great run through the corner. Everybody kept it very calm, cool, and collected. It was a very impressive feat, and I've got to agree with you, Joe. I have seen races from just about every single running where there have been problems for them, but nobody running into it here. A very good display from these drivers.
Right, so up and over turn 5. It definitely collected a number of victims in that sprint race. We'll see if it does more in the feature with 10 extra minutes added on to this as they come down into turn 6. And then they'll be looking at the back stretch. Long straightaway out here. Gives lots of great passing opportunities, but it's not quite all that straight. So drivers will have to keep their wits about them if they do go side by side to make sure they know exactly where that other car is, especially down into the braking zone with that little bit of a weave to the right-hand side before you get on the binders there. And then, of course, DJ, there is that chicane, which one thing I do love about this track is that I've seen both attack and defense on either side really work at this circuit. It's just kind of I'm sure it's something not everybody likes to see, is slowing down a fearsome track, but the chicane actually added quite a bit to this place, I feel like.
Yeah, it really did. It added a fantastic overtaking opportunity for drivers, and it really added, I think, a dynamic place on the track to be able to do it. And coming down the way that it used to, obviously very dangerous, very sketchy, and it's a big change, but a good one.
Absolutely. It'd be cool if we still had a way for it, but maybe someday they'll do that as we come to green flag racing, and David Madden is on the throttle, but immediately under threat as Philip Crane is looking back and forth. They were 3 wide briefly for 3rd place. Down to the inside, Campbell's going to come out ahead of Owens as we got another battle for the lead once again as Philip Crane's trying to take the inside away, and he took a lot of that inside curve, but I don't see a slowdown penalty. I think he was just within the limits.
I think he was barely within the limits, trying to keep everything together here at this point. But here they come, starting to get a little bit of a breakaway here. The top 5 starting to sneak off.
Again, that was an impressive start from these drivers, especially from Philip Crane, who is very eager here at the beginning to try and take the lead away from David Madden. I think you saw the speed there in that first sprint race, DJ, and he's trying to do what he can if he can somehow get the track position over him.
I think that's exactly what he's trying to do here at this point, but he lost a little bit as he brought his way back onto the main straightaway, or the back straightaway here, trying to be able to see if he can continue on a little bit more. He's now going to be under pressure from behind from Campbell.
Campbell pokes to the inside down to the chicane. Can he finish the job, though? No, he can't swing in front of him, but he's got the outside. That tends to be a little bit of a better line, and look behind them. That's Owens, who is plugged up. He's got nowhere to go as the two of them go wheel to wheel. It is going to be Crane who holds on to second for now.
For now is the operative phrase there. I think that's going to swap around here as Madden's now able to streak off into the distance a little bit. That's going to be a good run for him. But here we ride on board the hood of Gummer. Gummer's got some work to do, but he's certainly trying to make it work.
I feel like this is almost a worst case scenario for Gummer. If someone has an incident in front of him, he's going to have to pick his way through that. He needs to be past these cars ASAP.
Yeah, he needs to get a move on, but he's going to lose it again coming through turn 5.
That has been his Achilles heel all day today. That's the 3rd incident we've seen from him there, and that's going to put him down to 9th, a full 8.5 seconds off the lead. That's going to take a Herculean effort to try and get back up to the front.
Yeah, that's not good. Let's see here what happened to him. Just a little bit too much speed coming through turn 5. I think he clipped a little bit of the corner, and then that was enough to be able to send him around. He clipped a little bit of that corner curbing. But yeah, he has really got it all to do here now as he finds himself about a second behind Daniel Vincent.
So Vincent's more concerned about the car in front of him, and we didn't see it on screen, but he almost had a go at Cal Dennis. And contact was just made, actually. Unfortunately for Gummer, he tips around Daniel Vincent and pushes him the wrong way.
And you hate to see that coming down into turn 5. Not exactly the way that they would like to have that happen. Let's go back and take a look at the replay here. You can see just a little bit of defense there from Campbell coming off to the inside. He tries to see it, just carries too much speed into the corner. Almost had it there, Joe. And then on corner exit, just loops the car around.
With a little bit of help from Gummer, unfortunately. And that's just going to finish the job. And in live time, I can report that Campbell just had a spin in the S's of all places. Yeah, there's the contact. So Campbell's lost 3rd after he was looking so excellent from the sprint race. He's down to 8th position. So here's, how did he lose it in the S's? That's a strange place.
That is a little bit of a strange way to be able to do it.
Just
That's
fishtailed. Yeah.
very strange, yeah.
Almost like he panicked or something. Let's watch on board. Maybe he clipped the grass and we didn't quite catch it.
Yeah, he's going to come down.
No, just oversteers.
Yeah,
That's bizarre.
The car just looked like it broke away. I mean, we often talk about how the rear end of that Porsche is a little bit of a pendulum sometimes, and it can swing around if you're not careful about it. But my goodness, that is one of the worst ones I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I can't think of a time that I've seen that before where a car loses it just going through there. As we come back to Gummer, he's working on Cal Dennis, and he's going to make an easy pass as it looks like the 9 car is just going to pull over and let him through. So Gummer's back up to 6, but he's still about 11 seconds behind the leaders and clearly losing a bit lap by lap.
Yeah, losing a little bit here as they go, but your leader right now, David Madden, just trying to be able to hold on to that as much as possible. 1.6 seconds the gap right now, 4 laps down in this race. Philip Crane, though, starting to fill the mirrors, and trust me, you do not want to have that white and green liveried Lamborghini behind you. It'll scare you big time.
I wonder if he would have been even closer if he didn't have to try and fight off all kinds of cars there for a brief while. Remember, he had Owens and Gummer, as well as guys like Campbell trying to take that second place away. And now he's about 2 seconds behind our leader. Is that the gap that Madden needed to just try and scamper away with this? We're going to come down to 10 laps to go. This time by, we look at the battle for 4th position. This is Bastener versus Thomas.
We ride on board with Seth Thomas right here, trying to close in on the back of that Mercedes up in front of him, getting a nice little pull here. He's going to take a look down to the inside of turn 1. That's not going to play itself out, and a little bit of intrigue up at the front of the field as well. Philip Crane setting the fast lap of the race, but Thomas trying to poke his nose this way and that, anywhere that he can.
Remember, Thomas was the one challenging for the lead earlier on, or at least for 2nd place, I should say, in the sprint race. And then he had his accident up into turn 3. So we never really got to see what he could do trying to fight back. This has given us a much better sense of it. He's already up to 5th, so that's a 4-position gain. And Bastener's kind of been doing the same. He's up 4 spots since the start. Will he be able to overtake the Merc?
All right, let's see if he can here at this point. He's going to get a huge helping of the draft down the back straightaway. Let's see if that's going to come into play here, if that's not going to play itself out. Here they come right now. It looks like he didn't exactly get the run that he would have liked.
Yeah, he clipped the grass coming off of turn 7, and I think that just cost him a couple miles an hour by the end of the straightaway. So we'll have to try again later as they come up over the hump and down the hill to start lap 6 here. This is all about 8 to 9 seconds really behind our lead car of Dave Madden. So hasn't been too many laps, but he has really been putting the paces on the rest of the field.
Yeah, he certainly has, and we talked there not too long ago about that run for him that it looked like Philip Crane may be able to close down on him. Well, Crane really hasn't been able to respond here at this point, so it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get the run that he would like to, but we're going to keep our eyes focused on this battle between Bastener and Thomas, because this is the closest one on track.
This is really good news for Madden, frankly, because he came in leading the points. If he wins both of them, obviously, he's going to be leading the points on the way out. Seth Thomas, whoa, so we got a spun car in front of them. That's Jason Owens. That's 4th position. A lot of that inside curb there for Bastener, and he doesn't get the greatest exit because of it, so it's now a drag race.
It's going to be a drag race here, and it's going to be advantage Seth Thomas coming down into the braking zone, but Bastener is going to be able to carry it around and maybe get it to work into 10B if he's able to be late enough on the brakes. But no, Thomas is going to have it done well and well before.
Using that grunt of the Bavarian Motorworks engine. And here's the incident that unfortunately put Jason Owens down a couple spots into 6th. Having a nice calm run up to this point and just loses the rear end out of turn 6.
And yep, just loops it around. That Lamborghini rather likes to have some good rotation through the corners, and it's not too difficult to over-rotate it. And so a good run around there, and that is just enough to be able to send him around.
Already halfway through this race now. Owen still has time to try and catch back up. It's Gummer up in front of him up next. This is on board with Madden coming up to turn 7. Really gives you a sense of how blind it is through there as we ride on board looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, you can really see the elevation change coming up and down this track. Even on the back straightaway here at this point, it is just a difficult run. But here he comes, Madden just keeping things together. This Ferrari is a very good all-around car, good rotation, good top speed, great brakes as we've seen exhibited a couple of times. Flicks it down into 10A and 10B right now, and he's just doing what he needs to do here at this point.
Yep, has a 3-second lead over Philip Crane. So he hasn't been running away at huge speeds, but he's got himself an arm's length over that number 1 machine. The bad news for him is that Philip Crane is 3rd in the points trying to catch up, and with Bastinner not having the best of runs here today. Looks like Crane might actually move up into 2nd in points, and he'll minimize the damage losing to Madden.
Yeah, he's going to lose that time here at this point as they try to be able to bring their way up through. We take another look on board here with Madden. He just continues to run exactly as he needs to do halfway down in this race, continuing to grow that gap a little bit, gaining 0.5 of a second last time around.
A really good pace here from that number 7 Ferrari onto the back stretch. The bright white and green car just crests over the hills. Behind them, looks like Gummer has caught up to Bastinner, and the number 4 is going to have his hands full of Lamborghini in just a moment. Let's see if this run is good enough. It doesn't look like it. In fact, yeah, he's dropping off a bit here.
Yeah, it looks like he's dropping off a little bit, and I just think that's as a result of not getting the good run out of the corner. Now, we know the speed that Gummer has. We've seen it exhibited over the course of the sprint race and indeed the feature race as well, but we've just seen those little mistakes creep in here for this purple Lamborghini. Hopefully he's going to be able to reel those in here at this point and be able to challenge up for P4.
Yep, just needs to get a little bit closer than that. Hasn't made much inroads on Madden himself, so yes, he's got the speed, but he's running about the same pace, I think, from what I can tell, as that number 7 car takes a little bit of a poke through turn 3, then decides against it as somebody's off the course. That's Philip Crane!
Oh my goodness gracious, drama here as the 2nd place Lamborghini loses it, coming up and over the S's. Let's take a look at the replay, Joe, and find out exactly what happened.
Okay, so it's easy to lose the car through 2 and 3, so I'm not too shocked that this is where it unfolded. Oh, it started to come around. Did he keep it out of the wall? Yes, he did. Nice job.
Impressive. That is not an easy thing to do, to get the car stopped in time like that, but he certainly was able to do just that. We've got a flashback to the battle between Bastinner and Gummer as this looks like it's about to come to blows.
Looks down to the inside. The Lamborghini wants to try and get back onto the podium here, breaking deep into it, and he looks to be through. Nice textbook maneuver from the number 5.
Yeah, and I think Bastinner there just tried to give him as much room as possible. Looked like he took a very wide arc into the corner. I think he probably recognized the speed that Gummer was carrying on and didn't want to get in the way of that.
This is between Vincent and Tran. This is for 9th position, so trying to stay out of last place between these two. Do we have another problem? Seth Thomas just went off as well. Oh, and a dive to the inside from Vincent. Is he going to be able to get this one? Yes, he does. So that's going to move him up into 9th. Thomas, I think, had his problem through turn 1.
Well, let's take a look here in the BMW. He's going to get onto the binders. A little bit of a brush breaking corner. Brings it down. Just too much speed. Just too much speed into the corner there, Joe. And good thing that he was able to gather the car up underneath him.
I think Bastinner got back by Gummer as well, because he was ahead of him. So there was a mistake in turn 3 from Jamie L. It is all swapping around here in these last few laps. And unfortunately for everybody else, okay, so here's the pass. Watch for that brightly colored Lamborghini to just zip off of screen through turn 3. There he goes. And the Merc just says, goodbye, I'll take P2 now.
Yeah, and just another little mistake there from Gummer, and credit there to John for just keeping up the pressure and not letting it go. And that's what I think he was able to recognize from the different mistakes that we've seen Gummer make over the course of the day.
Sticking with him. Gummer wants to try and get back into that P2. He's getting very close down through turn 3 as well. He's only got 4 laps to do it. I was going to say just a bit earlier that unfortunately, because there have been so many errors from the cars behind, they're now 13 seconds behind David Madden, and he is just running away laughing with this one.
Yeah, he's really streaking away up the front of the field, and it's not, don't get me wrong, Dave Madden's pace has been pretty spectacular here, but it really and truly is much more of a result of just all the mistakes that we've seen coming in behind, I think, Joe.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that is the case, and here we go, coming along the back stretch with a nice toe. Is this where Gummer is able to finally get P2 and stay there? Big defense from the Merc. They're going to go wheel to wheel. Deep on the brakes in the number 5. Is it too deep? No, he gets it woed up, and that's going to be him through into second.
Good move there. Now the question's going to be is if he's going to be able to hold it, because Beisteiner there was taking a little bit of a look down to the inside through turn 12, as he's now going to keep up behind up into turn 1, and these two have got to be careful. Seth Thomas only about a second and a half behind.
Looking for the apex of turn 3. This is where Gummer lost it last time. Looks like he learned his lesson. Nice and smooth through there. Let's watch out for turn 5. He's lost it 3 times already in that corner that we've seen, at least. Not sure if there's been any more. And this time up and over the crest, the car stays planted. Beisteiner does not have a response. It slipped up to about 0.5 of a second. He could still try and catch back up to him, but in the background, that is actually Seth Thomas approaching the pair of them.
Yeah, Seth is starting to close in on this battle. He's now been able to bring that down under 0.8 of a second between himself and John. And in these final 3 laps of this race, I think we're going to see a real race here for the podium positions.
The 81 is hauling the mail, no doubt. He's up 5 spots, and it probably would have been a lot more if he hadn't had his little half spin through turn 1. As they hit the braking for the final chicane. Now down to 2 laps left to go. And this is really getting tight here for Seth. If he wants to take a podium, he's going to have to work hard to try and make up for his error, both in the sprint race and in this one. And in fact, Seth is definitely a bit lit on fire right now. He set his personal best that last lap.
Yeah, and crucially, he was about 1.5 tenths faster than Beisteiner there in front of him, and he is now all over the back of that silver and black Mercedes. So he is pushing here at this point, able to combat the aero wash a little bit, coming down through the S's, now up through turn 5. Looks like he's going to be able to keep that clean. Little bit of a bobble there on the exit. That got sketchy.
That 2 wheels off into the grass coming out of turn 5 is never a good idea. You don't know when it's going to spit you out into the wall, but he survived it this time. Let's see if he can do it into the chicane. Once again, BMW versus Mercedes, the German Marks, who is the quicker in a straight line.
Well, let's see here. It does look like the gap is coming down ever so slightly to Thomas, or to Beisteiner there in front of him. Thomas able to pull that down under 0.5 of a second with the benefit of the draft. It's not going to be close enough to make the move here, but he's only got 1 more lap to try to make any hay.
Ooh, he's pretty deep into the corner, too. There's the white flag for David Madden. Again, looking like he is going to put himself at a good distance from a lot of his rivals after today for the final round. And as he swings it through turns 2 and 3 and down into the S's, can't even see the other cars within the same shots as him for most of this course.
Yeah, he has really and truly been in a class unto himself here tonight. A fantastic drive.
We had contact between Beisteiner and Thomas coming through turn 3, and Philip Crane is going to pick up the pieces, squeaking by both of them.
My goodness, and there may have actually been just the merest of contact between Beisteiner there and Crane. Now it looks like Thomas is going to be able to sneak his way by. That Mercedes is limping pretty heartily here as we take a look at the replay.
Not sure if John was just slow into the corner Look at how fast he comes up on him, and they come together, and it sends them both off. Johns tries to come back on course, and what we're not going to see it is we got to get back to live because Dave Madden is through the final couple corners. And to the line, the number 7 is going to go back-to-back here and take both wins at Road Atlanta, the home track for this series.
A very impressive run there for David to be able to take victory behind him. It is going to be Jamel Gummer to cross over the line in P2. A little bit of a recovery drive as Jason Owens now tries to put some pressure on the back of Seth Thomas.
This is for 4th position. Not exactly what Thomas was looking for here, just trying to hold on to it as he wanted a podium there at the end. And Jason Owens is not going to be able to take it away. Poor Bastinner has to settle for 6th himself as they have some fun there after the start-finish line. Poor Cameron Campbell. It was looking so good up until he made his little mistake himself, and he is going to have to settle for 8th position. But the good news is, unlike last time, all the drivers are going to be able to complete every lap here for this one. So that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta, round 4 here of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter Series. And David Madden took both the sprint and the feature win. Jamil Gummer was somehow back up into 2nd place after a bit of a wild couple races there. And Philip Crane decided to sneak his way into 3rd at the very end. Seth Thomas was looking for that P3. A little bit of contact on the last lap sent him down to 4th. Unfortunately, Jason Owens was P5 and John Bastinner finished in 6th, and it was Daniel Vincent in 7th. Cameron Campbell, who started from 3rd, had a good finish in the sprint, just wound up tumbling down the order and finished in 8th. Cal Dennis in the number 9 car appropriately finished in P9, and then Lynn Tran rounded out your field today, finishing in 10th. So I'm sure the drivers enjoyed getting to race on home turf today, DJ, but now it gets serious for the finale next time.
Yes, it does. They're going to have a little bit of a change up here. We think they're headed to Road America, and that's going to present plenty of different overtaking opportunities and plenty of different chances to get it wrong for these drivers. A challenging but fantastic course to end their season.
It is indeed, and it looks like this is going to wrap us up. So again, a big thank you to our sponsor for this series, DrivingParts.com. And also thanks to the team today, Ryan, DJ, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.